Yo, what's up, you beautiful guys and gals? It's your man's Legend, and I'm back with another video. Now, I asked you guys on the community post what you wanted my next video to be, and only a few of you actually came through an answer. But you answered nonetheless. I appreciate that. Next time though, I better see a lot more of you over there in that community post, yeah? But as you can clearly see by the title of today's video, is what if Naruto was born early and fell in love with Kushina and Mikoto? Part 14. Now before we jump into the story, remember what I said in the last video? I want to see at least 10 likes on every video from now on. So go ahead and hit that like button for me. Come on, let's get that. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and come join the Legend family. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next in this series or any other series. So join the family. I promise it's not a cult. But with all that out the way, let's just get into this intro so we can start this what if. A week had passed since Naruto Uzumaki and Fugaku Uchiha nearly tore apart a quiet street of Konoha. The scars of that fight still lingered. Fugaku remained confined mostly to the Uchiha compound while his injuries healed. The stitched line across his face serving as a constant reminder of how close he had come to losing an eye. Rumors had spread through the village like wildfire. Stories of a 14-year-old boy who had fought an Uchiha prodigy and very nearly killed him. But while civilians whispered and shinobi speculated, the man who carried the greatest burden of all sat alone in the Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi stood quietly behind his desk, fingers resting against the smooth wood as his eyes drifted toward the wide window overlooking the Hidden Leaf village. The morning sun cast long rays of light across the rooftops, illuminating the bustling streets far below. Villagers moved about their day unaware of the immense pressure hanging over the man tasked with protecting them all. War loomed like a storm on the horizon. A knock sounded against the office door. "Enter," Hiruzen said. The door opened slowly, and a man stepped inside with measured calm. Danzō Shimura walked with the steady confidence of someone who had long since accepted the darker necessities of shinobi life. He appeared to be in his late 40s, his body still strong despite the faint signs of age beginning to settle around his eyes. His short, shaggy black hair framed his stern face, and a distinct X-shaped scar rested on his chin. Brown eyes regarded the room with quiet calculation as the long white sleeves of his robe shifted with each step. He closed the door behind him. "Danzō," Hiruzen said calmly. Danzō stopped several feet from the desk, folding his hands within his sleeves. "You called for me, Hokage." Hiruzen exhaled slowly and stepped away from the desk, walking toward the tall window behind it. His hands clasped behind his back as he gazed over at the village he had sworn to protect. "Danzō, I need you to do something for me," Hiruzen said quietly. The older shinobi tilted his head slightly. And what might that be? Hiruzen's eyes scanned the rooftops of Konoha, his voice growing heavier with each word. There's a great deal on my shoulders right now. This war. It will not end quickly. His gaze hardened. We have already taken losses. Danzō remained silent. The hidden stone has begun open hostilities against us. Hiruzen continued. And they did not come alone. He paused. The hidden sand aided them in crippling our reach. Though they claim neutrality, their actions have already weakened us. Hiruzen's voice lowered. And the hidden cloud. They chose their side as well. Danzo's eyes narrowed slightly. Together with the stone and sand, they launched a coordinated attack nearly a year ago. Hiruzen's jaw tightened. They destroyed our allies. The words hung heavy in the air. The Uzumaki clan was nearly wiped out. For a moment, only silence filled the office. What remains of the Uzumaki, Hiruzen said slowly, is what managed to flee here. He turned away from the window and faced Danzō. And because of that, I need your help. Danzo's gaze sharpened. What do you require? Hiruzen walked back toward his desk, resting his palms against its surface. I want you to form your own shinobi force. Danzo's expression did not change, but a flicker of interest appeared behind his eyes. They will operate separately from the Anbu, Hiruzen continued. I want them trained to the highest possible standard, as strong as my Anbu, or stronger. Now Danzo's attention sharpened completely. This unit will answer primarily to you, Hiruzen said. But I will retain final authority over their deployment. Danzō studied him carefully. And what purpose will this force serve? Hiruzen met his gaze directly. The war will demand things from us. Things that cannot always be done in the light. Understanding flickered behind Danzo's eyes. Hiruzen continued. There's another matter as well. Danzō waited. Uzumaki Naruto. The name alone carried weight now. He's already skilled, Hiruzen said, especially for his age, but he will face enemies far stronger than Fugaku in the future. Danzō raised an eyebrow slightly. I want you to help train him. The older shinobi regarded the Hokage for several seconds before speaking. You are asking me to turn the Uzumaki boy into a weapon? Hiruzen's eyes narrowed slightly. I am not. His voice remained calm, but there was steel beneath it. Tobirama Sensei taught each of us differently. You, Koharu, and me. I know that. Danzō said nothing. I am not asking you to be soft on Naruto, Hiruzen continued, but I am asking you to leave the boy's emotions intact. His gaze hardened. And do not maim him. Silence returned. Then Danzō nodded slowly. Understood. He turned toward the door. Is there anything else you require, Hokage? Hiruzen shook his head. That will be all. Danzō gave a small nod and stepped out of the office. The door closed quietly behind him. As he walked down the tower hallway, a faint smile crept onto his lips. So subtle that no one would have noticed it. The Hokage had just granted him permission to build his own elite shinobi organization. Freedom, power, influence, and more importantly, access to the Uzumaki boy. To the public, Naruto Uzumaki was simply a talented young shinobi who had defeated an Uchiha prodigy. But Danzō saw something far more valuable, potential. His mind was already moving ahead, planning the structure of the organization that would soon rise beneath his command. The first person who would join him came to mind immediately: Orochimaru. The brilliant snake Sanin possessed a mind too dangerous and too valuable to be wasted. But before any of that could begin, Danzō needed to meet the boy himself. Leaves suddenly swirled around his feet as chakra pulsed through his body. In the next instant, Danzō Shimura vanished from the Hokage Tower in a blur of motion. He had a future weapon to introduce himself to. Time skip. 2 months later, Minato point of view. Minato Namikaze walked through the gates of the Hidden Leaf village, a small smirk on his lips, as the young Jonin had just came back from a near 6-month-long assignment. He was finally back home in the midst of this dumbass war. He walked through the village at a lax pace. He was happy. He was happy that he was home and that he could just walk. When he was on that assignment, he had to move with urgency almost every day. However, it was also an assignment, so he could get more experience as a Leaf Jonin. Minato made it to the Hokage Tower and smiled. He grabbed a kunai from the zip pouch that had 3 prongs on it, no longer using the basic kunai anymore, as he threw it at the Hokage's window before he vanished and appeared on the ledge of the window and caught the kunai, returning it to his pouch. Sarutobi-sama, I'm back. I'm 1 month ahead of schedule as well. But then again, when you learn and master the Flying Thunder God technique, it allows you to deal with threats faster and get to locations in a more timely fashion. Hiruzen Sarutobi turned in his chair and stood. That's so. Well then, it's good to finally have you back in the village. And as for you learning a jutsu created by the second Hokage, let alone that one, it's impressive. Now, how about you come through the window and take a seat? There's something I need to run by you. Minato hopped through the window and sat across from Hiruzen. As he noticed the 3 separate folders sitting on the desk. Now, Minato, if I'm not mistaken, you just turned 18. You've been a Jonin for almost 2 years. You have enough experience, and now you've learned and mastered the Flying Thunder God. Hiruzen reached forward and opened the first folder. It was a picture of a boy with black spiky hair, a grin, and goggles. The name at the top read Obito Uchiha, and he looked to be 12 or 13. Hokage-sama, why are you showing me this? Hiruzen flipped through the folder. Because I want you to take a genin team This is Obito Uchiha. However, he isn't like the normal Uchiha that you're used to. He's more cheerful. Hiruzen opened the next folder. Rin Nohara. She's also a cheerful one. For her age, she's a capable Konoichi. However, she could use some work. Hiruzen then pushed the folder aside and opened the last, showing a boy with no smile, black hair that was slicked back, brown eyes, and sharp eyebrows. And this is Ibiki Morino. He's a more serious one. Has a baby brother. He is actually very intelligent for his age. He specializes in pressure points in the human body and inflicting pain to stop or maim people. I want you to take these three under you as your genin team. Minato looked at the folders for a while before he spoke. Alright, I'll take them. However, if they don't pass my test, then I'm rejecting them. Now, I'm going to see Kushina. Minato stood up and started walking toward the office door. Hiruzen registered what Minato said as his eyes widened. He had completely forgotten that Minato and Kushina used to like each other. He had forgotten that Kushina left Minato after he raped her. And now Kushina was basically expected to become one of Naruto's wives in the future. Minato, wait. Kushina has completely moved on from you. I didn't realize that you were still thinking of her while you were on your mission, but I recommend that you move on as well. Minato looked at Sarutobi with a raised eyebrow. Thanks, but I'm sure I can get her back. Before Hiruzen could say anything else, Minato walked out, leaving his office. Meanwhile, with Naruto. The evening air in Kushina's apartment was warm and filled with the comforting scent of slow-cooked meat and vegetables. Naruto sat at the small dining table near the center of the room, his posture relaxed for once, his usual guarded demeanor softened by the simple peace of the moment. Across from him, Kushina set a steaming bowl of thick stew in front of him before taking her own seat. The rich smell of beef, potatoes, and herbs rose from the bowl in curling wisps. Naruto didn't waste time. He scooped up a spoonful and took a bite. A pleased groan escaped his throat almost instantly. Kushina, he said, through a mouthful of food, clearly impressed. Have I told you that you're an amazing cook? Across from him, Kushina smiled in quiet satisfaction. She lifted her spoon and slowly ran her tongue along the metal as she tasted the broth herself, her expression teasing. You have, actually, she replied casually. You said it twice before. Naruto chuckled under his breath and continued eating. He finished half the bowl in record time, clearly enjoying every bite. Beneath the table, Sheva rested comfortably at Naruto's feet. The massive black wolf had been dozing peacefully, her large frame stretched across the wooden floorboards. Then her ears twitched, her head lifted suddenly. A deep growl rumbled from her chest. The wolf rose slowly from the floor, her amber eyes narrowing as she stared toward the apartment door. Kushina blinked in surprise. Shiva stepped out from beneath the table, muscles tensed as she stalked toward the entrance. Naruto sighed quietly. He already knew. Without saying a word, he stood from the table and reached for the old tanto resting beside his bowl. The weapon looked worn with age. A faded red handle bearing small scratches from years of use. The short blade itself was double-edged, lacking a pointed tip, but deadly in its own way. Naruto strapped it sideways across the front of his pants, adjusting the position until the handle sat comfortably against his hip. The knock came a second later. 3 calm, deliberate taps. Kushina glanced between the door and Naruto before standing up and walking toward the entrance. Naruto followed a step behind her. Shiva had already reached the door and stood there, stiffly, low growls vibrating in her throat. Kushina opened the door. Danzō Shimura stood on the other side. The man looked exactly as he always did, calm, composed, and unreadable. His white robes hung neatly from his shoulders, and his dark eyes regarded the small group inside with quiet calculation. Shiva snarled again, lips peeling back to reveal sharp teeth. Naruto stepped forward and gently grabbed the wolf by the snout. "Shiva, no. Calm down." The wolf huffed irritably, but obeyed, though her gaze never left the older man. Danzo's eyes shifted to Naruto. "Good evening, Kushina," he said politely. His voice was calm and measured. "If you don't mind, I'm here for Naruto." Naruto stepped around Kushina before she could respond as he passed her. He leaned down and pressed a quick kiss to her cheek. "See you later," he said simply. Then he stepped outside. Araken's small head peeked from the collar of Naruto's shirt, the pointed-nosed viper resting comfortably around his neck as usual. Shiva followed close behind, her tail swaying as she cast one last suspicious glance at Danzō. The older shinobi turned without another word. It was actually Danzō who ended up giving Naruto that red tanto. The three of them disappeared down the apartment walkway together. Kushina watched them leave for several seconds before slowly closing the door. The soft click of the lock echoed in the quiet room. She stood there for a moment, arms folded as a faint unease settled in her chest. There was something about Danzō that always made her skin crawl. She couldn't explain it. The man was polite, respectful. He never raised his voice or spoke rudely whenever he addressed her. It was always with the proper courtesy. But something about him felt wrong, dark. Still, he was helping Naruto get stronger, and Naruto trusted him. So she pushed the feeling aside. With a quiet sigh, Kushina walked back into the kitchen and gathered the bowls from the table. She carried them to the sink and began rinsing them beneath warm running water. The soft clink of ceramic filled the apartment. Then another knock came from the door. Kushina paused. She turned her head toward the entrance. "Did you forget something this time?" She opened the door. Her voice died instantly. Kushina froze. Standing in the doorway was a man she hadn't seen in months. Minato Namikaze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Minato smiled. Not a polite smile, not a cautious one. That same bright, confident grin he used to wear when they were younger, back when things had been very different. "Hey," he said casually. "Miss me, Kushi-chan?" The nickname hit her like a slap. Her shock turned instantly to anger. Without hesitation, Kushina slammed the door forward with all her strength, but Minato had already stepped inside. His foot caught the door before it could close. His hand pushed the frame open. As he leaned casually into the apartment, Kushina's temper exploded. She shoved him hard in the chest. Minato stumbled backward into the hallway. "Get out!" she snapped. Before he could react, Kushina slammed the door shut. The loud bang echoed through the apartment. She locked it immediately. Then she leaned back against the door, breathing hard. Her heart pounded in her chest as anger, disgust, and old memories twisted together inside her. Outside the door, Minato stood in the hallway staring at the wood. The smile on his face had slowly faded. Meanwhile, deep underground in the forest of death, Naruto walked through the hideout that was still in the process of being built. His outfit consisted of a pure white t-shirt and white ambu pants with black shinobi sandals that came up to his shin. Over the white shirt, he wore the standard stainless steel mesh t-shirt for a bit of penetration resistance. And over that, he wore a cloak with the hood that was black as night. The cloak came all the way down to his shins, and finally, he wore a half mask that covered his face from the nose down. The reason for the white shirt and pants was simple, so he could see if he were bleeding and patch himself up fast so he doesn't bleed out or suffer permanent damage from an injury. Naruto stopped walking once he got to the training area. There were other kids his age, although very few of them, and there were actual adults all training there with each other as well, waiting for Danzō to come in and give them the instructions on what it was that they were to do today. Orochimaru then entered through another passageway, and he was guiding a girl in by the shoulder. She had brown eyes with purple hair and a spiked bun. She looked like she was about 15 or 16 years old, and she looked a bit worried at being here. Orochimaru then shoved the issued uniform into her arms as she staggered back a bit. "Put those on, Anko, and be quick. You all don't have much time." Anko looked down at the clothes and new shinobi sandals, and then looked around. "Sensei, is there a bathroom I can change in?" Orochimaru turned around and started walking away, going to the lab that was provided to him by Danzō as he spoke. "No, just pick a corner and change there." Anko looked at him, shocked, as Orochimaru turned into one of the narrow connecting hallways. Anko then turned as she looked at the four corners of the room. She then looked at Naruto, feeling someone staring at her. Naruto held eye contact for another 2 seconds and then looked away. And Anko walked to a corner and began to change. Nearly everyone was training or working on something, so no one should be watching her. Anko hurried and changed, and when she finished, Danzō finally walked in. "Cease your actions." Everyone slowly came to a stop and turned to him as he spoke again. "First, order a hand. Everyone in this room should feel proud. All 18 of you. You all are the first wave of an organization called Root. Now, obviously, that number is subject to change, Danzō looked around the room, scanning everyone as he spoke once again. Second order of hand. None of you are to speak of the organization or this place at all. There is a reason I chose the name Root. It grows underground, out of mind, unseen to the naked eye unless forced out. What happens here stays here. We are the darkness that the village needs, the nameless operators in the shadows, and in time, we will become the roots of this village, the force that holds this village up and deters and eliminates all threats. Naruto listened as Danzō spoke, thinking that this was a really amazing speech, and it was clearly working and bringing up the morale in the room. Now, for what you all will be doing. Danzō walked over and took a seat in his chair that was more like a throne. This is your 6th true training exercise. There are 100 prisoners in the Forest of Death, all 100 free and loose with full access to their chakra. The weakest one among them is a tuning. Your training exercise is to find and kill them. However, you must do it while remaining undetected. Each of you should have at least 1 kill by the end. We will watch, but we will not assist you. Any questions? Another man then spoke. Danzō-sama, may I sit this one out? I hurt my back training earlier. Danzō walked to the man, hands hidden in his sleeves of his robes. He stopped in front of the man. He looked to be in his early 20s. You say you wish to sit out due to a back injury. The man nodded, and in a flash, Danzō swiped with the kunai, cutting his throat. As his eyes widened and he grabbed at his throat, as he fell to the ground and gurgled before dying. You hear that there are 100 prisoners of war in the village, yet you ask to sit out? In the field, you push through injury, even when you lose a limb. Naruto's eyes widened at the sight, and everyone else backed away. He just killed a Konoha shinobi. Anyone else want to sit out? There was nothing but silence, and Danzō nodded as he waved them off to begin. But guys, I'm going to end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe while you're at it. Remember, the like goal for this video was going to be 10 likes, so make sure you hit that. And without further ado, I'm out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay blessed, y'all.